afternoon, everyone. As you know, my group includes me, AJ, David, and Iris. And I just want you guys to close your eyes and think about how you got ready this morning. And think about something that you couldn't live without in getting ready this morning. For a group of people, that's Nsawu. You may be wondering, what does Nsawu mean? What is she talking about? Nsawu, in one of Ghana's native tongues, means water. And here, Monsanto, what we plan to do is to bring them what they need, which is water, and we'll do it through this initiative. The initiative is called Together We Can. The W stands for water, and the E stands for education. And we believe that using these two things that we can move from philanthropical of giving, which is giving checks, to a whole another plan of corporate citizenship. So I'll give it to AJ to talk a little bit about this is not our presentation.
This is the presentation.
Stop the time.
Okay, I stopped the time, so.
Stop the time.
This was the name of the peace company. Which
Yeah,
song was it?
it was not that one. It's called
Which song was it?
Final. Oh well. No problem. There we go. Should we start over?
You want to start with, it's up to you. I'll leave it up to you.
We can start.
We can start over.
Yo,
All right. Good afternoon, everyone. You guys know my team, and we're here to talk about Monsanto's new shift from philanthropical giving to corporate citizenship. So I got you guys thinking about what you couldn't live without this morning, and that's water. And like I said, Nsawu is what we plan to give to the individuals in Ghana. We plan to do this through our initiative called Together We Can, with the W standing for water and the E standing for education. Bottom line on top, just trying to give you guys a brief overview of what we're going to be talking about. Monsanto will be working with USAID and Africare, and they will be helping us distribute the education and really build capacity in rural communities. We'll be giving technology and working with the government and giving them tools to use in times of drought and extreme weather. And then also we'll be providing water irrigation because we have the research and the know-how and the skills to bring water irrigation to a group of people. I'm going to give it over to AJ to talk a little bit about our plan.
So we're heading into a guarded environment. We've experienced much pushback from Ghana in the past. In order to make real impact, we must begin to bring social, environmental, and economical benefits on the ground. The obvious answer would be to give them seeds, but they don't want our seeds. Research has shown that there will be severe drought issues between now and 2025. If we are able to build sustainable water technology within the country, we can begin to solve this problem. Their agriculture sector represents approximately 1/5 of their GDP. If we can increase their crop yield, we can ultimately increase the income for the disadvantaged communities. So let's just be honest. We are facing PR issues. And in order to change this, we need to switch from philanthropic giving to corporate citizenship. We need to stop writing checks and we need to actually get on the ground. We do this by integrating two separate streams of thought: corporate social responsibility and stakeholder theory. What do stakeholders value? What do Ghana citizens value? We need to incorporate all individuals in the process in order to maximize the value that comes from the proposal. Big brands like Walmart and BP have been able to transition their brand image using corporate citizenship. Harvard research also suggests that brands with better images are able to increase their sales and ultimately drive their bottom line. According to industry rating distribution, we received a B rating in 2015. If we can increase our ability to positively contribute to the security of global food supply chains, we can increase our score from a 4.5 to a 4.7, which is the normal industry average, which ultimately will increase our environmental score in the intangible value assessment. David will discuss our vision and goal.
Thank you. So our vision is to strengthen and empower both the people and the farming communities of Ghana. And we're going to do that through, as we mentioned, capacity building and educational support. And we hope that our shift to the corporate citizenship model will really help us accomplish this. In terms of goals, we hope that Ghana, the people themselves, are sustainable, that this project is sustainable so they can do it on their own without us a few years down the road. In terms of personally, for Monsanto, we're looking to really build up and improve our brand image internationally, and that's going to feed our bottom line, and we hope to be potentially creating a market for the future for products as we endear ourselves to the people of Ghana. How are we going to get in there? We may have some pushback. Well, we're hoping to ease a transition into the country by having a three-way public-private partnership with USAID and Africare. So you can see all three groups are going to be working together. Africare is an NGO that has been in Ghana since 1989, and we've been working with them since 2006 when they helped us improve food security in Burkina Faso. In terms of USAID, the Venn diagram explains it very well. We have some of our business interests. They have development goals, and that right in the middle is the opportunity. And we're going, so this is the Global Development Alliances, and this is considered by USAID the best vehicle for public-private partnerships. And again, this is really just to ease the transition into Ghana. Like AJ said, it's a guarded community, and already have some boots on the ground, people who know the culture, and some smiling faces that can make it an easy transition. So our first step, water irrigation. This is drip irrigation. That's a rubber hose, water dripping obviously. And it's found to be the least costly but the most sustainable type of irrigation. And so what it does is it prevents evaporation by slowly dripping into the ground. It's not a sprinkler spraying everything around. And there are two suppliers in Ghana that we've identified that we can work with for supply chain issues. And it's something that we're going to teach the farmers how to do, how to install on their own, and how to maintain. And we can discuss specific costs about the program later. In 2013, Monsanto, we purchased Climate Corporation, and they developed what you see here, essentially tablets and app-based software to really help farmers. So this is an example of one of their applications, the Nitrogen Advisor. They also monitor crop yields, soil quality, weather conditions, pests, etc. We're going to give this at first to the government, teach them how to use it, teach the USAID and the Africare workers how to use it, and then help it spread to both large farms and smaller rural farms. And now Iris is going to talk about our education initiative.
So in addition to water irrigation systems and this new technology app, we really want to provide agricultural education so we can help empower the people in rural Ghana to really create sustainable farming practices. So we want to go into 3 schools in northern Ghana and teach them irrigation and farming techniques. So the way we want to do that is first partner with Africare, who already have relationships with local leaders in Ghana and can help get our foot into the door in local schools. We also want to have a Together We Can fellowship. So we want to give grants from the Monsanto Fund to get recent graduates from A&M universities to come over and train with Monsanto and then go to Ghana for a year and kind of teach these farming and irrigation techniques to students who then can go and disperse the information into the village so that we can really create sustainable farming practices around Ghana. So these fellowships, we think we can go into A&M universities and partner with their career centers and go to job fairs to really get top quality students to then take these fellowships. And we think we can be pretty competitive if we have this year abroad and then perhaps a leg up in getting a job at Monsanto. And so they'll be there for a year and we'll cover living costs and a small stipend. So this is our knowledge transfer pyramid. So as you can see at the top we have Monsanto, who's working with Africare and local leaders and these fellows. And so the fellows will then give the information down to the Ghanaian teachers, who then will give it to students and then hopefully disperse it. And so we have a couple evaluation criteria. We're going to give tests and written tests and practical tests to the students to kind of see what's sticking, what's not, what we need to improve so that we can continue to make the program better.
So you may be wondering how we're going to implement this awesome plan. Where at the end of year 1, this is where we plan to have all our relationships established. That means we'll be working with USAID, we'll be working with Africare, we'll be working with the Ghana government, and trying to build relationships with A&M schools. By the end of year 1, we want to make sure we have the target areas that we want to affect, and then also begin training Africare and Guyanan leaders about our software. By the end of year 2, we're training the government. We're working with state governments because we believe there are the people who have the capacity to run this type of technology that we have. And then in year 2, by the end of year 2, we're hoping that we're starting to finishing up our installation of the systems in target farms. By the end of year 3, we will have our first class of the agricultural programs. In year 4 and 5, this is when we start having the fellows coming in, teaching students, and then we'll start looking at our quantifiable measures. By the end of this program, we seek to improve crop yields by 25%.
So we think with this Together We Can initiative, we can really share expertise, knowledge, and technology with people in rural Ghana. And together we can bring sustainable irrigation to rural Ghana to help them increase their crop yields and better face this drought. And together we can bring technology to better monitor soil and water. And together we can educate the people of Ghana.
Thank you.
Questions?
Q&A starts. We'll have another 10 minutes.
So can you guys talk a little bit more about the structure that you envision in terms of Monsanto and Monsanto Fund and USAID and Africa? Like who does what and like is there a leadership structure you contemplated?
So what we plan to do is, first of all, make sure that everyone's on the same page. So in our initial meetings, we'll have the Monsanto Fund, Monsanto, USAID, and Africare. USAID has already worked with Africare, so this is not a new partnership for them. So they what we're going to do is build upon that structure that they already have. And so in regards to Monsanto Fund, I mean, we're there because, we have the fellowship. And so we're trying to see how does this, we want to make sure we're not overlapping in our tasks and making sure we're efficient. So essentially what it will be is having USAID and Africare really in the roots and down in the country. And they are kind of like, when they see them and our volunteers, that's how all of us are going to work together. So essentially we'll have USAID and Africare in the field, and Monsanto working directly, with the government, with help with USAID. So essentially, we believe that USAID will be the individuals who will ease us in to the country.
I heard you say a few times we're gonna stop writing checks. So who's paying for all of this and how much does it cost?
We have cost information. So when we say stop writing checks, I think we mean more figuratively. So we're not going to just write a check. We want to shift to the corporate citizenship model. So we want to give knowledge and know-how, and obviously that's going to cost money to do it, but rather than writing a check and just sending it off to somewhere and being done with our philanthropy, we want to be more involved. So that's kind of what we meant by stop writing checks. In terms of cost, so we have the employees and training costs. That's going to be about $300,000 a year. That's a very, very high estimate, and that covers the 6 different fellows. So that's going to be training, recruitment, stipend, living costs, getting them to Ghana, etc. So that's going to be that. So that's about $300,000. $225,000 is going to be basically like a lost productivity cost. That's going to come from sending 6 of our research scientists to help implement this. We have a water research facility in Gothenburg, Nebraska. So we have all this know-how, and that's going to be the lost productivity cost of them not being at Monsanto in the U.S., but being in the country. And then in 2014, the most recent year of data, the USAID gave about $20 million for agriculture, and we think that about $8 million for the other associated costs with the drip irrigation, et cetera, is going to be a very good amount, and that's going to be matched by USAID, and that represents 0.06% of Monsanto's 2015 revenues.
I think your costs are significantly underestimated, correct? Because I think just sending 6 employees for any period of time to Ghana would be a costly affair. But secondly, I think did you take into consideration that you have built a structure where you are going to have a lot of parties that you're going to work with, sort of the government officials, state officials, and then finally, the target, which is the farmers or So, and as you know, in developing countries, you know, that can be a very dangerous kind of structure because a lot of money gets siphoned off at the top levels. So, did you think of an alternative structure where you could straight go to the farmers or the villages rather than involve so many levels of bureaucracy?
Oh, we were hoping that in order, the one way that we reach the farmers closely would be through the schools. And the schools are in rural areas, so we kind of siloed it where the technology was given to government officials because we don't believe that a lot of people in rural areas can handle that type of internet connection or things that are needed for that. But then the school will be in the villages, and therefore we're getting face-to-face time through NGOs that are already there to actually teach them. And so that was our strategy of getting something to the people that need it the most.
And these costs, even if they are underestimated, they're going to the employees themselves. So it's a fellowship. That's the fellowship cost. So it's going to the fellows that are working there, as opposed to going through the government. So it's being paid directly to the teachers in the schools.
Yes, David, you had frankly acknowledged Monsanto's PR problems, and I think that may be understating the case. And this company, to a degree, has become some of a boogeyman for less than stellar corporate conduct, ranging from the cotton farmers in India being priced out of the market to the use of carcinogenic materials like glyphosate in some of the herbicides, on and on and on. And how do you see this initiative helping to repair the company's brand image and its PR problems?
Thank you for your question. So, when looking at corporate responsibility over time, it really began with the corporate abuses to society. And when you incorporate the corporate citizenship aspect, it's really about looking at the company as a good citizen in a sense, and actually going out in the community and factoring in the environmental factor. The environmental factor is key. So we kind of debated back and forth whether, looking at Monsanto Fund, maybe creating a new brand, but the important aspect is keeping the brand and going into this country and letting them know that we're not necessarily trying to give them seeds that they don't want, but we want to come and just do good work. There's no implications. We just want to come and establish a good name. And what that does is, in the next 4 or 5 years, that opens up the ability for us to, as we develop our technology and maybe create seeds that are more conducive to their environment, maybe they're more inclined to work with our company and go from there. And when you look at the assessment here, you see how we have a B rating. So ultimately, keeping our brand active in Africa and improving on some of these different factors, we can ultimately increase our brand name.
And to follow up on AJ, I mean, the whole name of the initiative, Together We Can, it's us acknowledging that we've done things in the past and we did not acknowledge the communities that we were going into. And so we're trying to even shift, this whole initiative, although that has the name, it's a culture shift within Monsanto as well, that we have to, shift a little bit in how we conduct business. So we're definitely, thinking about that aspect and what we've done wrong in the past and how to mitigate that.
A question related to the alignment. How did you align the ESG performance to the financial performance? What kind of metrics did you envision for the project?
Metrics for power testing.
To be successful.
In terms of in Ghana
it's
itself.
a laudable goal, everything what you mentioned.
Right, in terms of Ghana.
This.
So this is in terms of Ghana itself. In terms of our Monsanto's individual return, we kind of broke it down to 2. So this is what we're going to look at. So we have those tests that Iris mentioned. We're going to look at crop yield. So that's something we can track how much crop yield has improved. And then also AJ mentioned on the other slide. Sorry. There's this. So this comes out every year. So that's one way we can find out our metrics. If we're growing every year, business ethics and fraud, corporate governance, we can see how much this is growing. This is done. So we can test this and see if we're improving. And then we're also going to run, obviously, other statistical metrics to see if what the effect of this amount of investment and any future investment is having, and whether it's relevant in affecting the bottom line or the brand image or anything like that. I mean, it's going to take given where we're coming from, we expect this to not be, as much as we'd like it to be a quick fix, we do acknowledge that it's going to take some time to really, really build up our brand image again. But we've seen success from Walmart. We've seen some recent success from BP, who only, I guess, 5, 6 years ago had the big disaster. So we know that it can be done, and we're going to work on doing it.
Any more questions? We'll ask